system, and we're really trying to kind of encourage use of it. We want to keep it. It's really important for faculty publishing and research. So we're just kind of trying to raise awareness. So if you got nothing else from today, that you now know we have Scopus and basically what it is, that is fine. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. I think I have that. Let's see. Oop. Somehow it trying to get to my earlier pages. Okay. Can you all see the presentation, my file now? Okay. I don't know how I ended up on some random page, but okay. So the first part of this I'm going to talk about, and let me put up my table of contents. I'll just introduce myself really quickly. First, I'm Amy Jansen. I'm the business research librarian here at Southern. My colleague, Carla Jones, who is the education librarian, will be speaking for the second part of this. And what I'm going to talk about are, you can see here, I'm going to do a kind of quick dive into searching in Scopus, analyzing search results. I also want to mention how to find your full text articles and how to kind of locate that full text article, because Scopus is a citation database, so you're not going to find it in Scopus, but you may want to find it. Also, how to connect it through to connect to interlibrary loan. That seems to raise a lot of questions. How to use your citation managers. I'll just quickly brush on that. Research metrics, kind of looking at the different metrics that are available in Scopus, evaluating your publishing options. So for the research you're doing, comparing sources, and then a quick just glance at Scopus AI, which is new as of August 2023. So, you know, like, they've joined that bandwagon and it's everywhere, and they're on it too. Elsevier is, and Elsevier is the publishing and data analytics company that actually that is created Scopus. So I guess I'm moving into the next part. So let me just pull this over here. So what is it? I get, you know, that it's not a dumb question to ask what it is, because it's huge, it's comprehensive, it's multidisciplinary. It has citation and abstracts from peer-reviewed publications, and that can be, it has everything from journals, trade journals, books, patents, conference publications. So the records in the database contain information on citations made in that publication. And then they link that information so you can identify which publications have cited that one and how many times a publication has been cited. And we're going to talk about metrics to kind of evaluate that. A noteworthy feature is the citation analysis, which we can look at the article level, at the journal level, at the author level, institutional levels. So you can use that to identify the most cited articles on different topics. And you can use some of Scopus's, some of them are their proprietary metrics, others are publicly available metrics, to evaluate the prestige of journals that you might want to publish in. So what is it good for? It is useful for literature reviews. So a lot of you are faculty who are doing research. And so you might want to use it for literature reviews, for systematic reviews, to identify journals for publication, to review top authors in fields. So if you're looking for collaborators, it's useful by researchers, institutions, countries, just to kind of identify specific areas of research and where it's coming from. So I think it's a really good tool for, probably I wouldn't say undergraduate students, but grad students, librarians, faculty, researchers, university administrators even might want to poke around in it. Today we're going to focus more on faculty research, and it's a little bit more geared towards that, as well as librarians. Obviously, I'm a librarian. So you can find Scopus, that's the next kind of logistical question, on our library's A through Z database list. So if those of you who are familiar with I think most of you here are, I'm just so used to talking to undergraduate students that sometimes I forget the faculty kind of audience is a little different. But you can find Scopus on our on the library's website on our A through Z database list, and I have the link here. So I'm going to move on to searching.
Hey,
so,
Amy, before we start with the searching,
yeah.
We have one question. Will this be available to PowerPoint after the fact?
Yes, in fact, I could post, I can post. I have mine in Google Slides right now, so I'm gonna, oops, I just messaged it directly to you, Trevor, sorry. I'm
No
gonna
problem.
do it to everyone. Okay, so this is my presentation on Google Slides, but it will also be available later and thank you for interrupting because I don't see the chats that come in, and probably I don't see hands either. This will be available later on. Online Learning has their Toolbox website. It will be available there as well. It's not right now, but it will be, as well as Carla's presentation.
Thank you.
So searching in Scopus, and again, I could talk a lot about this. I could go on endlessly about Boolean syntax, as many librarians could. I will not, because I don't want to put you all to sleep. But just a couple things I want to mention. The curly brackets are new for some people when they're doing searches in Scopus. So it's going to look for your exact phrase. So these phrase searchings are the two things I want to point out, the curly brackets and the quotation marks. So the curly brackets are going to look at that exact words that are given. I gave an example here. It's going to ignore spelling variations, plurals. Quotation marks, on the other hand, automatically include common variant spellings and plural forms. So it's a little more versatile. So some of the proximity operators, and some of you who have done a lot of research and a lot of stringing together different queries and are probably somewhat familiar with proximity operators, but this preceding pre/n, like the first word must be no more than X or N words apart from the second word. And those are also available to use in Scopus. Within wildcards, question mark symbol will replace a single character, while an asterisk will replace multiple characters. That's familiar to many of you from other databases. But the two I like to really remind people is that curly brackets, that's maybe new for some people with Scopus, and the quotation marks. But a lot of these are common to other types of research databases. So this may not be this isn't the first time you've heard of these things. And not or will produce more relevant results. The order that they search, they prioritize those as or is number 1, 2 is and, 3 and not, in terms of when you search, link together your keywords in the search box. So that's just kind of a quick glance at searching in Scopus. And again, this is all something, if you have, as with anything I'm talking about today, if you have specific questions, feel free to reach out to me and we can kind of really go over your exact research question and get into the weeds. I won't here, but I just want to kind of highlight that these are some of the this Boolean syntax is applicable along with these phrases, phrase searching and proximity operators and wildcards. So moving along to taking a look at a search page. So highlights from the search results page. I'm going to flip over to Scopus now, and I'm going to do a search, a quick kind of demo search. But these are some of the things I want to point out on that search results page, because this is going to be a little different maybe from some of you who are using other more specific subject databases in your area. Let me flip over here. Hopefully you can see this is the library's website. You can get to it from library.southernct.edu. The URL there will also get you to it, libguides.southernct.edu/home. I'm going to go to the A through Z database list. Under find, I'm just going to go down to yeses. Again, there's only like 400 ways to get there, and I'm just using one of them. Hopefully I'm signed in. So I'm going to highly suggest, I'm logged in here. I will highly suggest that anybody who uses Scopus to set up a profile, and Carla is going to talk a little bit more about that, so you can save all of your searches and your results. So I'm going to do a quick search for, say, coffee production, and it's going to assume I'm going to put sustainability. I'm going to do the quotes for a loose search for coffee and production, sustainability. My default is article title, abstract keywords. I just want to get the search page so I can kind of show you the different features here. Okay. So here we're talking about, at the top, you'll see documents preprints. So you can see preprints. These are unpublished non-peer reviewed versions of some of these documents. They do not contribute to metrics. So that those won't be figured into any of the metrics we're going to look at in a few minutes. Patents, secondary documents. So secondary documents are extracted from the documents reference list. So the documents that are here, they're reference lists, and they would consist of those that are not indexed in Scopus. So they're missing for some reason, whether it's they're unable to match documents with some certainty, or there's incomplete information, or there's missing content. But for some reason or another, Scopus hasn't indexed those citations on the reference list. Research data. I highly recommend taking a look at this. This is really useful. These are links to research data sets that are available on external data repositories. So that's really useful if you want to check out what, I think in this era of where we want to, we're focusing on reproducibility, making data available, having safe storage spaces for it. And I think it is a good idea to kind of become familiar with some of these repositories. If for nothing else, then you're looking for a repository, you're looking for data sets of your own, and this can kind of lead you to some options you weren't aware of. So refining the search on the left-hand side, of course, you have the typical stuff, the date ranges. The sort by, I want to point out, because this is slightly different from some databases. So Scopus does the default sort by as date, newest. A lot of databases do relevance. Relevance, according to Scopus, in their helps and tutorials, they find that relevance is too subjective, that they prefer to leave it at the default at newest. So that, just be aware of that. Cited by is also sometimes useful. I use this by cited by highest. So you'll see the documents that for your search that have been most cited. Just be aware that obviously the articles that are being cited a lot are probably a little older than what you're going to find in a general relevant search, because they've had time to kind of accrue and accumulate lots of citations. So obviously the date newest, we're going to get very few citations. Some of these are still even 2024. So more, I want to show you this real quick. Here, save to your list. So this is something you'll do when you set up your profile. Email results, that doesn't work. So do not think there's something wrong with your computer or anything you're doing. Scopus has turned that off. In fact, you'll get this little that message that's been temporarily disabled. So just be aware of that. Analyze results is the next thing I want to go to, because this is where we're going to be able to really take a close look at the kind of sources, the kind of publications that your search has brought up. So this is going to do basically an analysis of all of your search results. So I'm going to push on to that. So analyzing search results, it's going to give you, if you scroll down, and again, if anyone likes to do more hands-on kind of work, feel free to log into Scopus right now and kind of follow along. I should have said this at the beginning, but you're all quite smart and you probably are doing it anyway. So you can log in and just follow along, even if you don't have a profile yet, that's okay. But you can at least kind of see what I'm doing. If not, if you just want to watch, that's fine too. So these cards will show you additional data about all of your search results. So these are where you can ask questions like what research, when has research in this area taken off? What journals are publishing work in this area? Which authors have been most prolific? Which institutions have authors been affiliated with? What countries have authors been affiliated with? What are some of the funding sponsors? So analysis charts can be downloaded as CSV or zip files. So I'm going to take a look at documents by country. So keep in mind, I did coffee production and sustainability. So I'm not too surprised that Brazil is showing quite a few documents. US, Germany, obviously Indonesia, Colombia, Costa Rica, Vietnam. None of us are surprised by those. Where a lot of coffee production is happening. So I'm going to go back here, down here again, and let's take a look at subject area. So I can get a sense of articles published in this area are oftentimes published in the agricultural and biological science publications, and also in environmental science publications. So I'm just going to hold on to that information for now because I'm going to use it in a few minutes, but it's good to get a sense of what types of journals are publishing in my area. Social sciences are the next, but it gives you a sense of, how those journals are categorized in Scopus. So I'll just kind of mentally jot that down. So flipping back over to the slides, I think I'm sorry, you've got it all here if you need it in the future, but I skipped right past analyzing search results, which I did talk about, but didn't show you the slide. But full text publication. So this is just kind of a more logistical question. Like, I found a bunch of articles in Scopus. I want them. I want the full text. And I just want to kind of quickly show you that, because it's just good to know how you can connect Scopus with all other library resources and library subscriptions. So let's say that I found, so what of these documents does the library own and how do I get them? So let's say that I want, like an espresso, this second article right here. You can click this Find It button, and that's going to bring you over to our journal finder. So some of you might be familiar with this. So I see that my journal, Environmental Monitoring and Assessment, that has a 12-month embargo, and this is a new article. So I'm probably not going to get that full text. So I'm not even going to investigate this any further, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Interlibrary Loan. Now, if you click Interlibrary Loan from this journal locator page, it's going to auto-populate this information into the ILLiad system, our ILL system. So you're not going to have to type all this out again. So this is an easy way to just and I use this all the time. So if I find an article that it's just so much easier than typing all this out. ISSN number, if you do have to type things out, that international standard serial number is always important when you're putting in an interlibrary loan request. It will come, they can process it a lot faster. So I just recommend, if you don't do this auto populate, to try to include that if you're looking for a journal article. So that's one way to do it. I'm going to sort by highest, date cited by highest, because I want to show you something that we do have access to. So the first article is open access. I'm not going to bother with that. You can get that. But the second article looks like it's in more of a traditional journal called Bioscience. So I'm going to click Find It. Again, we're flipping over to the journal locator, and it's showing we've got quite a few databases that have full text access of this. I'm not going to pick the first one because that full text access ends in 2013, but I am going to click on an article is from 2000. Oh, actually, never mind. I could have picked that. Sorry, I thought it was newer, but I'm going to pick JSTOR's Life Sciences Archive, and I'm going to click on the actual volume 60, number 7 link. So this is going to take me to the instance of the full text article in the database. We could have gotten to this in probably 7 different databases. This is just the one I picked. So that would be how you could access full text. Going to flip through there. I already talked about that. Citation managers. That's another thing that I want to talk about very quickly. So probably all of you who are doing your own research are using some kind of citation manager. I'm familiar with Zotero and EndNote. If you're using anything else, don't ask me. No, I'm just kidding. I'll try to help you if you're using something else. But and of course, if I don't know, one of the other librarians knows, because there's a huge amount of knowledge about citation managers in the library. But citation managers are important to be aware of and to connect with your Scopus if you have a profile, and so you can export your results. So just doing a quick, I'm going to go right back here. So there's a few ways you can do it. You could say that I want to select everything here and I want to export them as, let me scroll down a bit so you can see. And whether you use Zotero or EndNote, some of you may use Mendeley, or maybe you have some other version, or you just want it in a CSV file. You can export it. RIS is the typical one you use for Zotero or EndNote, that type of file. But you can do that both at the document search results page, or you can click on your article. If you have an article open and you want to do it, you can also do it here as well. So that is a big time saver. Probably a lot of you are already doing that or in other databases. So I would highly recommend to kind of make use of citation managers and this auto export kind of thing. So moving on to research metrics. So Scopus contains a lot of different metrics to evaluate the impact of your research. They can be useful for a lot of different things. So it could be used, sometimes I've heard of them being used for promotion and tenure files or committees when evaluating people's files, for funders, to find a research team, to find collaborators. So this image at the top of this slide kind of gives you an idea of which metrics might be best for which intention. So you decide where to publish. So that's site score or SJR, and we'll talk a little bit about some of these major ones in a second. Updating your online profile might have a different set of metrics that you want to focus on. Promotion and tenure, apply or report to funders. And also benchmark a collection of research output. So I thought this was a good image to kind of categorize the different metrics because there are a lot of them. And many of them really get you to the same place, honestly. But this is a good way to kind of identify which is useful for which. And then understanding key ones. And I know I'm flipping through. I just want to make sure I finish in time for Carla to get her full time. But understanding key metrics this is the part I just want to spend a minute on. So here is where you're going to look at metrics at the article level and then at the journal level. So some of the ones that we might want to consider at the article level are just the Scopus citations, the number of citations, views, PlumX, which we'll look at in just a second. So I'm going to skip back over to Scopus so that I can show you that. So at the article level, we can see metrics by you can either click there or scroll down a bit. And we can see here, so we just have this general old Scopus metrics, number of citations. We also have the field-weighted citation impact. And what I like about Scopus is that they do explain everything. So if you're unclear what a metric is, you can click, they either have the question mark or the little I for more information. So this field-weighted citation impact, FWCI, is basically how well cited this article is compared to similar documents. So really a number greater than 1 is good. It's more than expected. So we're doing pretty well with this article, my ecological complexity article from Bioscience. So this 5.21 is a pretty good field weighted citation impact. It's pretty good. It looks good in the number of citations at the 97th percentile. And then the other thing I want to mention is the PlumX metrics, which these are really referring to people's interactions with the research. So it's not going to be as citation based. It might just be the usage, the captures, the mentions, even social media. So how much are people kind of engaging with this article? So flipping back to, I want to talk a little bit about journal level metrics. So I can click on Bioscience to get a look at that. And this is going to be a quick snapshot of some of these metrics. So at the journal level, Bioscience, we have a few different metrics. So at the journal level, site score, SJR, and let me make sure if I'm on the right slide over here so you can see it. Yes. So SJR, flip back here, and SNP are all metrics that we can use to evaluate journals. So site score, again, they always have a little I that's going to explain what it is. But so citations to documents published in a 4-year period divided by the number of documents indexed in Scopus in the same 4 years. So this is based on Scopus data. It's a metric that measures your journal impact, but it's using Scopus data. SJR factors in subject, field, quality, and the reputation of the journal. So it's typically used to represent the prestige of this journal. SNP is a publicly available metric. Some of you might be familiar with this, and it can be attained outside of the Scopus platform, but it is also another useful metric, and I can tell you what it'll tell you here how it measures it. But those are the big three: site score, SJR, and SNP, that you might want to kind of take a look at when you're evaluating journals. Going back here, I'm going to move down to this, my next slide. So if you have an article or research you're working on and you're thinking about publishing, maybe it's not finished, doesn't matter, but you're just kind of thinking, brainstorming journals that might be good matches. So I'm just going to kind of go over and do a slightly different search in Scopus. I'm going to do a sources search. So a sources search, I'm going to change this to subject area. Scopus uses all science journal classification codes. That is a Scopus thing, a Scopus code, not it doesn't exist outside of Scopus, but different journals can be linked to multiple subject areas. So for my search, I'm just gonna, for the sake of being not taking forever and getting into I'm just going to pick 2 major areas so I don't take too long to do this. And I'm going to see, oh, wow, I have a lot of journals here. But I am going to show, first of all, I want to display, I'm not going to display only open access right now, but I am going to display only titles in the top 10%. So I only want to see the journals that fall in the top 10%. You can also do the first quartile, second quartile, you know, depending on where you think your publication might have a good chance of being published. These lists are downloadable. So if you want to you can download this into an Excel file and then just kind of pour over it. But this is enormously helpful in kind of pinpointing which ones might be good candidates for your research. I'm going to choose journals too, not books. So here I'm down to a slightly more reasonable list. And of course, you can get much more specific about your subject areas. So I just picked 2 huge subject areas, and that's why I still have 500 plus results. You won't necessarily have that if you're being specific about the subject area you're looking at. So comparing, let's see, we've moved past that, but I want to talk about evaluating publication options. So let's say that you're writing a review article and you're thinking about publication options and you want to compare journals. So you might have identified one that you're thinking about and you want to compare it to others, and where do you start? So I'm going to go back over to Scopus. We're going to stay in our sources search, and I'm going to put in title. And I am going to look in frontiers. I know that frontiers in sustainable food systems is a good one that my article might be published in. So I found it here. And here again, you can see your site score, your SJR, again, the SNP. Those metrics are always there. So if we look down, let's see, and we click compare sources, not down, but we click compare sources, we can add other titles. So I might have identified, well, I'm also interested in this journal, Agriculture, Ecosystems, and Environment. Sometimes it's going to pop right up. Sometimes, other times it's going to be one of like dozens. So I'm going to add that one. It's adding it to this graph that's comparing site scores. Journal of Environmental Management is another one I'm thinking about. This one I think has a lot of similar titles. Okay, so I've got three journals here. This gives you an idea of the site scores, but the particular metric that I'm interested in, or not metric, but the particular information that I'm interested in is the review articles by year. So I'm taking a look here. It looks pretty decent. So the percentage of review articles by year in frontiers and sustainable food systems still looks to be my top candidate. It may have plummeted this past, 2023 isn't quite over, but it was pretty decent in 2019, 2020. So that might be a good candidate for my review article. And this would give you a sense of the other competing journals and how they rank for that area. Okay, so moving right along, Scopus AI, which is really the last kind of thing I want to talk about. Scopus AI is still in beta testing, so you can find it. You probably already saw it. Just going to go back to my homepage here. Somehow it's disappearing from my page. Interesting. All right, well, I'll take a look at.
Try to, are you on a Mac?
Yes.
Try to hit Command minus. It might be a text size problem. That'll make your text a little smaller and see if the button appears.
Huh.
If it
Very
didn't, then that won't fix. Okay, sorry.
No, it has been right next to organizations. This is quite interesting, but I'll just do a 30-minute or 30-second dive into that. So it typically has been on this page next to organizations, if you ever see it. So what it is it's a research tool. And again, it's still in beta. So I'm not like completely shocked that it is there and not there, because it's really not finished and it's not been officially released yet. It's using, so it's this, I'm giving you their kind of quoted definition here. It's Scopus's peer-reviewed research repository. It's using that to help users understand and navigate unfamiliar academic content. So it generates summaries based on Scopus abstracts with references to help decipher complex content. So the knowledge base is metadata and abstracts. It is not full text, and it's only from the Scopus database from 2018 to the present. So they describe it and they kind of tout it as a supportive research assistant. It's not supposed to be the first and last place you do your research. They encourage, like all AI tool creators, independent research for verification, confirmation, and like all other LLM tools, they make it clear that it is possible to generate incorrect or potentially misleading information based or even content perceived as biased or offensive. So from my own limited experimentation, because I did a few different searches and I compared it to, say, like Perplexity.ai and Bing Chat, just to see what I get. It's pretty good. It's slightly more current and includes more peer-reviewed stuff that's been published in traditional academic journals. But Perplexity and Bing use and cite, say, like more open access and government and sort of preprint type of publications. So, that's just my own very limited experimentation with it. You can try it if it ever reappears, see what you think of it. It's something that is just worth really dabbling in, not as a serious addition to your research tools. So, and again, it's not the final product, and it might look very different if it ever reappears, since it's still in testing. So I am going to go to my question page. I have that's my reference, some hands-on exercises for if we have time later after Carla's presentation. If not, these are just sort of homework if you want to, some exercises that you can do to kind of get familiar with Scopus. But and that's the last page of my presentation. So, and with that, I will try to stop sharing. And hand it over to my wonderful colleague, Carla.
Okay, let me see if I can share. Okay. Okay, I'll go to my slides. Okay, I'll be doing the part 2 of the workshop, and I will be focusing on creating and managing your Scopus profile and your reputation. The author profiles in Scopus are a great way to showcase your research and get yourself noticed. And I will be covering working with author information and understanding author profiles, connecting your Scopus profile to other platforms, tracking other authors' activities, setting up alerts, and creating citation overviews. It's a good idea to go in and create your login, your sign in, because a lot of these features don't work unless you're signed in. So I would say the Scopus author profile is a unique record of a researcher's publication activity. The information in a profile includes the author's name, affiliation, subject area, publications, citations, and co-authors. And the author profile helps make research activity visible to other researchers and is automatically created from an algorithm using metadata from published documents indexed in Scopus. Let's go in and take a look at the author tab in the Scopus database. This is the main search page. So to get to the author tab, you're just going to click this little button here. And it's going to give you a place where you can now enter the first and last name of a particular author. So once you hit search, you will get a list of authors with that name. To the left are the usual limiters, cities, country, territory. But you have the ability to go right in and click on a specific author. Once you click on a name, it's going to take you to the author details page. And as you can see here, you get how many citations he has, how many documents, the H index. A lot of other metrics can be viewed. Over to the right here, we have the topics that he's covered in his research. And then down below it, you'll get the documents. You can go back and look at other authors. And again, it will give you all the different metrics. If you like a particular author and his work, you can save that particular author to a list. You can have existing lists or you can do a new one. So let's do Alex Smith and save to list. And then when you go up under your sign in, you'll get a bunch of, let me go over a little bit, sorry. Once you go over to your initials and sign in, you can see that you have a number of saved lists. So they'll be there. So you can, it's a good way to like keep track of some of the authors you like. And then later I'll show you how to set up alerts for author research. So that's how you save your list. Go back into the first Alex Smith, and we'll look at the author impact. So from the author details page, you want to come down here to analyze author output. It's going to give you a bunch of different decks with their output. It'll identify the source. You can look at his work by type. Is he doing articles? Is he doing reviews? Is he writing book chapters? You can see how his work has spaced out over the years. It's like, 2014 was a very good year, 2020, not too bad. You can look at his work by subject. So biochemistry is a large area for him. Engineering is the second largest. And then, you have different pieces of the pie chart. You can look at the citations he's generated. By year, all the years are hyperlinked. You can play with the dates for the graphs. Like say I want 2011 to 2015. Click on update. It'll redo the graph for you, giving you a clearer picture of those years. And then finally, you'll get a list of co-authors. So you can see who Alex Smith has been working with. And it gives you the one with the greatest collaboration first, and then it gets, descends down the list. You do have the option to export this information. You've got your button up here on the right. If you click on that, it'll ask you what type of file you want to export it to. You can choose a zip file, click export, and it'll go down and it will be saved up, under your initials. It's not too. That is the basic way the author profile works. Let's go back in and look at another one. Let's do Vecchio. Alex with an X. And the interesting thing you'll see under the name is that you'll get many variations. Their algorithm does determine specific individuals, and because they're looking at that vast list of criteria, it can recognize the same individual even if the name is spelled differently. So, here we can see he has 22 documents, his H index is 13, University of California is his affiliation. If there were other Alex Vecchios, the affiliation may be different. So it would not be listed under the same heading. And Scopus gives each author a unique identifier number here. So that's how the profiles work. So let's see. If I were to go back to my slides, I can see for the author profile, that since they're generated by Scopus, they can't really be corrected unless you context Scopus. You can do corrections with, if you think that they've put the wrong thing in your file, if the preferred name is different, if things are missing, there are places to contact them. So if we went back to Vecchio, down here under edit profile, would give you a place to make corrections. It will say yes, it'll ask you yes, this is you, or no. Don't ever make corrections to any profile but your own, obviously. And you would submit your corrections, and then Scopus would get back to you if the corrections were approved. I think the other way, like many databases, there are a couple different ways. You could go into the actual document and also make corrections, but edit profile is a good one. And you could always check your status on the dashboard in terms of your corrections. Okay, and the next thing that you want to be able to do in Scopus is to connect to other platforms. So go back on the search. We'll do a very basic one. I'm going to cancel that. And So again, going into the author tab, let's see, I'll do Christopher Tuck this time. I'll select him. And as you can see up on the top, it gives you some options to connect to other platforms. If you have an ORCID number, you could just click on this. It'll ask you, to log in. If you haven't logged in, it'll ask you to register for your ID number. And so that way you could link to ORCID. If you're using Mendeley as your citation manager, you could also link there. Again, it's the same sort of thing. Connect, file, do the information. And then you could also do, let's see, documents, export. Take your documents and you could export them into an RIS file, similar to the citation manager. And then from this point, you could take the citations and put them into a database like NIH. So you've got lots of different options to connect to different platforms. The one caveat is, when you're connecting to these platforms, like things like ORCID, once you make the connection, it's not going to automatically put your Scopus citations into ORCID. You still have to do, export them and put them in manually. It's the same for a bunch of the other citations. They haven't yet gotten to the point where it's reciprocal. It's like something goes into Scopus, it'll go into ORCID. We're not quite there yet. Okay, we go into tracking other authors' activities. So we're going to go back to our Scopus search page. Back to Smith. And this is where you would start setting alerts to help yourself to manage your research. You don't want to be having to go on to Scopus every day to check on a particular author. So if we take Alex Smith, what I want to do, it's like we looked at saving to a list, but we can also set an alert. You have two choices. You can set a document alert, or you can set an author citation alert. So here we'll do the author citation alert. It'll ask you to name the file, put in your email. It'll ask for the frequency. It's like every week is a lot, so I'll say every month. It'll give me the first. Maybe I want it on the 20th. And then from that point, you would set your alert. Okay, that did it for the document. And you can also do for the author. Same thing every month. I want it on the 20th. And then set the author citation alert. So once those are in, again, if you go up to your initial, you will see your alerts here under the bell. You click on it and it will give you the different things that you have saved. So Alex Smith for search alerts or document citation alerts, and then you've got your author citation alerts. That's one way to keep track of an author. You could also do it topically. So if I went back to search and documents, and let's say I did something like social work. You'll bring up this huge list, and then what you want to do is come down here to your limiters in the left column. And it gives you a way to, where am I? Look for author names. This allows you to see who's been most prolific, because it'll put the person with the greatest number of documents first and then go down the list. So if we look at Manthorpe and we limit to, you go from 70,000 documents down to 161. And we know that she's a top producer in her field. So if we come over here to analyze results of the 161, again, it will give you documents by year. You could come right down here to documents by author. You could look at Manthorpe again. It'll bring you to her author's details page, so you can see how many citations, documents, her H index, bunch of other metrics. You could look at her output. You could see the subject areas she's writing in, and then you get the list of documents below her. So that's a way to do it topically. So if you were investigating a new field of research, you could do that and then go in and find who the most prolific authors are. Okay, so to summarize, to track other activities, you're going to be looking for new documents. You're going to be looking for works that receives new citations. You can even mark a particular document and track that. And then lastly, the final way to track an author is with their new Scopus research discovery tool. They have been looking into making Scopus more collaborative, and because people are working on problems globally. And this is a nice search because it just includes a basic keyword search. So if we come back to the search screen, you see it's right here in the list of items. So you click on research discovery and you can enter your keywords. Let's try social psychology. They, give you some suggestions. We'll do social psychology. So you can see this list is set up a little differently. It doesn't bring you straight into documents. It brings you to the author. And then this one will also track country. Like you can see over here on the left that Spain is one of the top countries. The top person on social psychology is Eduard here, and he's in Spain. You can click on the preview profile. On the right will pop up a little menu giving you his most contributed topics, his affiliations, his years of research, latest years in the matching documents. So it's another good way to look at things globally. And identify authors, you may want to work with. It's like Amy said, you might be looking for other reviewers. You might be looking for, people to work on a systematic review. It's a good way to collaborate. It could also be a good tool to use for competitive intelligence because you can see what other researchers are working on. You can see what kind of funding they're getting. Okay, and then move it on along with we'll do a little bit more on setting up alerts because you're going to want to track your authors. So going back to Scopus, we will do, let's see, another author search. I think we'll go back to Alex Smith. Our first guy. And again, the set alert button is right under his name. You could also, if you're in a document, you could also look to the right. So we've already done him, so he's already in there set up. But if we wanted to go to another Alex Smith, you can set an alert for him, to an author citation alert. Again, every month to the 20th, and then you can set author citation alert. So it goes in. So again, it will be under your initials. See, now we have social work, ST. Under the citation alerts, we have Alex Smith, Alex R. Maybe I don't want Alex R. It's very easy to delete your alerts as well. You can make them inactive if you don't want, if you're going away for a while, or you can just hit the trash can and remove them. So very manageable. So as you see, like we go back to the author, Alex R is gone. And last, we'll just take a quick look at citation overviews. And this shows how often articles have been cited by authors or journals. It's good for information on publication date range. We'll give you publication dates for Scopus is like 1970 to like 2024. There is a limit. You can select up to 2,000 documents for your search. If you go over 2,000, you're going to have to use the citation overview download process, and Scopus will send you the downloads in a day or two. You can go up to 20,000 if you need to. So it's good if you're doing a massive amount of research and want a good overview. So to do that, again, it would be do it under documents. Let's do another general search. Let's do educational leadership. Right under your search results for the documents found, you'll see this link for citation overview. So I want to limit it a little bit. I don't want 3,000, so I can kind of come back up to my search and add policy. That brings it down to a manageable 708 documents. And then again, citation overview for 700, that's fine. Click view. Wait for it to load. And here you see it'll give you all the information that you've seen in the other ones, but it gives you a good idea of how the citations are running for educational leadership and policy. Clearly the citations have only been increasing. Like many of the other charts, you can arrange them by date or citation count. We'll go down to the smallest. So the Handbook of Research and Student Engagement had the most citations. With this chart, the subtotals are the citations for the year, and then the total on the far right are the complete number of citations. And again, it's something that you can export into your files and then, refer back to it, 36 pages. But that's generally how you would do a citation overview. You can play with your date ranges here as well. And then, each title will go into citation, the information on the item. And that's pretty much all there is to author profiles. And now I guess we can take some questions and do some answers. Stop sharing.
While they're typing, I'd like to say thank you, Carla. Appreciate that.
Share this.
Yeah, we're happy to take any questions about anything that we've talked about.
Thank you, Carla and Amy. Can you hear me? Yeah, thanks for this. It's a great way to get more information about others and the research in the field. I have a rather simple question. Every year, Scopus publishes Scopus indexed journals in different fields, right? Say when I want to submit a particular article in a particular journal within the field, how do I determine that the journals are within the index one? And the other way of asking the question is, do you have the most updated journals in 2023 according to the Scopus index?
So you're trying to check if the library has a subscription to some of the.
I'm asking about there's a journal that I like, and then I just want to make sure that they are within the Scopus indexed system for the 2023, because sometimes some journals lose its status within Scopus index world. So how do I get a list of the most recent 2023 Scopus index journals?
Good question. I'm not sure. So, but I can check if Carla, do you have an answer before I?
No, I think we should investigate with Scopus and see, how they look at it every year.
Yeah, because I don't have access to that. Some of my colleagues in other universities, they have the most recent list of all the journals still within that index, Scopus index stuff. The other question I have is about, thank you for looking into that. The other question I have, my question was, how come that our university does not have access to Scopus index journals of the latest year? The other question I had was so I'm assuming that Scopus indexed journals are ways to, we can stay away from predatory journals because Scopus does not include any predatory journals, right? But sometimes I assume that open journals may fall within that category, and I saw some open open journals within the Scopus index. So in other words, my question is, how do we stay away from predatory journals?
Yeah, that's a bigger question than within the scope of Scopus, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So this is a constant, is something that in the library we're constantly aware of, and we're constantly evaluating those. There is no one place to go to find out if a journal is predatory. It takes kind of a really close scrutiny and analysis to look at that title, to evaluate its website, to check it on whether it's Cabell's or Ulrich's or a variety of other places that evaluate Scopus, evaluate kind of journal rank reputation. But there's so many, and they just as soon as some kind of close and get identified as predatory, or there's also this blurry line between predatory and low quality. So there are a lot of journals out there that are not necessarily predatory, but are just low quality.
Right.
And I would say you don't really want to be associated with either of them. It's not low quality. So I'm trying to, I believe we have, trying to see if on the library's website, we have a guide. I thought we did, but I'm going to double check that, and I can put it in that kind of gives an overview.
Yeah.
We do. And I know one of our masters of that topic is also, she was on the call, Rebecca Hadreen, or on the meeting. But I'm
So it's my assumption that Scopus index journals are not predatory journals because
It's gonna
Scopus really looks
depend,
into
you know, these
Can you say?
journals slip, it's gonna depend, these journals
Oh, it
slip
depends.
into places, so yes, some of the databases have been having problems.
Hmm.
You know, they don't necessarily act proactively, it's more like somebody reports it and then they go in and pull it down. But it,
Hmm.
you know, it's becoming a more common problem.
Hmm.
So you always, I think you always have to kind of be on your guard. And I guess I would start with my subject specialist librarian if you're looking into particular journals, because we could definitely go in and do a deeper dive. We could ask colleagues, it could, you know, go out on listservs to see if it's a predatory journal.
So the journal articles appear in Scopus index
It
journals.
depends, they miss some, like they,
Necessarily, yeah.
predatory journals like to, you know, take over old URLs
Yeah.
or discontinue titles, and it takes them a while to catch up with, oh, you know, that has a different URL and this is a fake one.
Hmm.
It's hard. They get more and more sophisticated each
yeah,
year.
they slip through. Definitely. I mean, in general, no, you won't find them, but they do slip through.
True. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate that.
And yeah.
Sorry, you're going to say something, Amy?
Oh, no, I was going to give, well, I believe Rebecca and a few other librarians did a presentation. I just put so there is a research
Okay.
guide that takes you back to that. But I also put on one of my business research guide, I have a few places that you can kind of check for predatory publishers. If you look at the box on the left-hand side, like I have Cabell's, there's Beale's list of potential predatory journals. There's a few things you can look at as well.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you, Rebecca, also for your text. I just saw it. Thank you, Rebecca. Scopus has very high standards, but it is not 100%. Yeah, thank you. That's what Carla also was saying, and also Amy too. Thanks.
And somebody asked a question about the H index. That's really like an author level metric, and it's a good question. It kind of measures your productivity and citation impact of your publications. You know, what is a good H index? Like everything depends on your institution. You know, some people who are at teaching institutions, you're not going to have the H index that somebody at a R1 school. I mean, it's really hard. You know, some people say, oh, an H index of 20 or between 15 and 20 is great, or 40 is fantastic and 60 is like phenomenal, but it's hard to say that there's a number that and there are other librarians here that could answer as well. I take every metric with a grain of salt, because just like there are some predatory, I've been heard from some faculty members that there are some predatory journals might be in Scopus, but Scopus doesn't have some very legitimate articles and publications, which I've heard a few people complain about. So like everything, there's no perfect way to evaluate. Does anybody else, like Carla, do you have a sense of H index, how to define it?
Yeah, I do think it depends upon your institution. It's like a 20 may be fantastic at one place, and then if it's a big like R1 institution where you have, you know, teams and teams of researchers working on these projects, then 20 would be like, oh, you're kidding. So it is going to depend upon your institution.
Yeah, and like Rebecca said,
Yeah.
they're field adjusted metrics. So like the field weighted citation impact accounts for that. And so does the SJR. It varies according to your field. So thank you for the questions.
Yes.
I have a few notes, like, got to figure that out. Got to check into that. So,
Amy, this is Bob.
hi, Bob.
Hi, I use ResearchGate. Is that something similar, or
Research date? What do you mean?
ResearchGate? Gate.
Oh, ResearchGate. Okay, so ResearchGate, the authors can put their stuff up on ResearchGate without being cited, indexed anywhere else. You know, you could write a paper yourself and just pop it up there if you want. You know, so it hasn't necessarily been peer reviewed. Maybe a lot of times people put preprints there, or things that haven't been published, or at least, but it is a good forum because sometimes there are things like other types of publications that may not have been accepted in a peer-reviewed, high-level peer-reviewed journal indexed by Scopus, but they're worthy publications and they're valuable. So that's, I mean, ResearchGate, just be careful. You know, it's a good place, like for preprint. Sometimes you'll find, like, you'll be looking for an article, a peer-reviewed published article, and you'll find like a previous version somewhere in ResearchGate. You'll find the full text, which is nice, but it may not be the published version. So, but it's useful. Again, just keep in mind that it's not exactly been, that kind of anybody can put anything up there.
Oh, okay.
And if
'Cause-
anybody else who has knowledge or wants to chime in.
Yeah, one thing that seems nice is they tell me when somebody did a citation in my research. And then you go, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody was doing that.
Hey, that's a metric. Engaging with research, whether it's peer reviewed or whatever, it's a metric, you know, like Rebecca's saying, like, it's a social media site for researchers. So
Okay. Wow.
I have another question, if you don't mind, related to how do you say it? Elsewhere. I tried to sign into that. Each time it is asking me to confirm who I am. Is it the case always, or is it something is wrong in the sense?
You mean Scopus or Elsevier? Elsevier is the company that produces Scopus.
Yeah, I tried to sign in my name into that, and then it says, we have sent an email to my email address to confirm that you're from Southern Connecticut. When I click on it, it is not even working. Somehow, I think something is wrong with the system.
How did you first go into Scopus? Did you go in through the library's A through Z list? I'll put
Yes, I did. It did
got
go through the organization, which is Southern Connecticut, and then my email through that. And then it sends me an email to my email address, and then says, get access to it. Click the link below to get access to Elsevier services, and then Southern Connecticut. And when I click on it, nothing happens.
Are
It
you
says,
think, so you can get into Scopus, but are you talking about setting up a profile?
Right. I'm trying to do that. Yeah.
Okay, yes, check your spam, your junk, or your other
Okay.
folder. I think mine go there. I think Rebecca's writing that too. Mine, almost everything from Scopus goes into one of my other folders.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, thank you though. I'll keep trying. Okay.
And yeah, let us know if you continue having problems. You could also contact their tech support. Any other questions?
Hi, Amy. I have a question about the like the Scopus. How does he select, the public, like under authors? So I just searched my name and just found some like journals and publications and book chapters were not included. So I'm just wondering, like, if there's any criterion or any standards to select, publication.
They do have a criteria.
Okay.
If things are missing, you can use that wizard, and ask them to put it in, and then they'll just evaluate the sources. And if they like them, then they will put them onto your profile.
Oh, depends on if they like.
They're going to make a decision.
Okay.
They're going to want to, is it, something that was peer reviewed, what type of book, that sort of thing. But yes, you can make the request that they, put in the missing pieces into your profile.
Okay, sounds great. Because I noticed like many articles are missing
Right, okay,
from my profile. I'm just wondering what has happened. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, definitely follow up with that. And
Yeah,
for your, it's good for your, to get your profile up to date and to get credit for everything you're doing.
yeah. Yeah, go to edit under on your author details page, go into edit, and that should take you into the place where you can request that, things that are missing be put in.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You have, I would also recommend setting up a profile on Orchid as well.
Mm.
Anything else? And you have our contact information if anyone has questions, and we're happy to respond, email, calls. We're here. We're not going anywhere.
Thank
I wanted
you.
to say real quick, I want to put this video on our Office of Online Learning website, and then I'll email the whole group when it's up in time, and you'll have access to it.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
Wow.
Trevor.
Amy,
Terrific.
thanks, Claire. Well, Amy and Carla, again, I tried to sign in against, create an account within it. It is sending email to my, it asked me to go through the organization, which I did, and then put my email so that it identifies me. But that link is broken. Somehow it does not allow me to create an account.
And did you check your quarantine?
Quarantine.
Your email quarantine?
But I'm getting the email. That means it's coming through. It says,
Oh, I see. Okay.
it is coming through, and it asks me to get access. And when I click on it, it just goes blank. It says the link has expired. It says, I don't know why. Something is wrong. So in other words, I cannot create an account. Maybe you may want to take a note of that.
That sounds like you're going to need Scopus, their Elsevier's support. I'm going to see if I can find it.
Okay.
That sounds like it might be on their end.
Yeah,
And you can go through the process again, like try to send yourself a new, but I'm going to try to pull up there.
The reason I'm saying it's because other faculty may, if I'm having trouble, other faculty also may have similar trouble. So maybe the system is down. I don't know what it is. It says the link has expired.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. They just disappeared Scopus AI for the day. That's really, I don't trust Elsevier very much. You can tell that, but so
Scopus is on vacation.
I'm gonna put their email contact here to contact them about, that's their support center. But if like, and I think Rebecca made a good point, try a different browser. I have had to do that. And if that doesn't work, I would say that you might need to contact them.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you very much. Contact through the email that you would send me. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have a form.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll
And
do
they
that.
do usually get back to you. I've sent them quite a few emails, and they
Are you getting into, because somehow you are on campus, I'm not. I'm at home. Is it
well, I already have a profile set up, so it
Okay.
sounds like you're getting into the database, right? You're just not getting
I am, yeah,
Okay.
right. I'm getting into the database, but I cannot create an account.
right. So yeah, my account has been, I've had it for a while, so
Okay, I'll persevere.
I will keep an ear out for anyone else who complains.
Exactly, Bob.
Yeah, like Rebecca said, that may have expired. You might want to have it, send it again. Who knows with Scopus? Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Thank you for.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming today.
Thank you.